we shouldn't be talking about the same things over and over again. And I think in the course of our discussions from December till now, where we've been engaging and having this discourse, we've talked about the counter-cyclical effects of our economy with oil prices. What have we done to put in a stopgap measure? And that is why personally I don't feel sorry for any governor that cannot pay his salaries. It's completely irresponsible. You were a governor for 4 years, you've paid your salary, you've now won an election, and then you can't pay your salaries anymore. You have money coming through, but you are not saving this money for a rainy day. Even at the federal level, 85% of our expenditure is on recurrent. So that means that we're not investing. We've wasted $5 billion a year for the last 4 years, which is $20 billion on subsidies. What impact does that have on an economy? Are you telling me that $20 billion, how many refineries can you build with that over the last 4 years? Let's even go back to all the other oil-producing countries we talk about. We all like to go to Dubai. They have already reversed their economy. Last year, Emirates Airline made $25 billion in turnover from the airline alone. Not to talk about the hotels. Just that Emirates Airline is turning over $25 billion. That is the size of our reserves that one company within the Emirates can produce. So we've set up a sovereign wealth fund to be able to help manage this excess crude, to impact us from. That is what we've done. The institutions to do these things are there. But one of the governors, I think it was Governor Amechi, who took the government to court and all the other governors, saying that the excess crude must be shared. I made a statement the other day when I told you that $18 billion was in the excess crude account in 2008, 2009. That was what saw us through that financial crisis. Remember, Nigeria was not really impacted. People were saying we were insulated. That was because we had those fiscal reserves, not monetary reserves. Fiscal reserves were intact. Now, they questioned that excess crude must be shared. So it was shared.
2 years after?
Yeah. And
around
then
2011, 2012.
Exactly. And they've continued to share it to the fact that there's only $2 billion left in the excess crude account. So the sovereign wealth fund has been set up. And in the part of the sovereign wealth fund setup is that there must be a stabilization fund. But you've only put in $1 billion into the sovereign wealth fund. And the stabilization fund is $200 million. If you had invested $1 billion a year for the last 6-7 years, you would have had at least $10 billion in your stabilization fund. So these are the structural issues that we need to deal with, that we come back, we keep talking about this anytime there's a drop in oil price.
Let's spend about a minute before we go on break to talk about the budget 2015 versus 2016. In another 60 days, the process of 2016 budget should start sometime in September. If the National Assembly reconvenes later this month and you bring in ministers, they have about 30 days or thereabout to start getting ready for to settle down and to start. And these are ministers that will be 30 days in office before you start. You ask them, the budget office says, please, may I have your parastatals inputs and whatever input into the budget. How much problem do you think we face here? This looks like you said, it looks like a lost year. We haven't done 2015 budget. Nobody's talking about it. From the office of the CEO, there's never been a single statement since May 29 about budget 2015 and what the outlook for 2016 is.
Well, that's where the problem is. I think what I would have seen was to actually maybe come up with a supplementary budget for this year. To be able to look at the deficit financing structure that is there. Because what is important is that we need to understand that there is going to be deficit financing. How much that deficit financing is, we don't know. The DMO already has a calendar, but I think that calendar ultimately, there will be need for more funding. So the domestic debt profile definitely is going to go up.
Okay, let's continue the conversation after the break. Tilewa Adebajo, economist and policy analyst, talking about you and the economy. We'll be back. we're back, the final lap of the program. Tilewa Adebajo, economist and policy analyst, spent time in the Ministry of Trade and Finance, and one of the lecturers at the Lagos Business School. Trained under him, learned under him as well. Thank you very much for sticking around here. Let's continue the budget conversation, but more importantly, from the big picture to the small picture, how do all of these affect the common man? So up close and personal. Let's get personal now. So individual Nigerians, how does inflation rising to 9.2%? Petrol scarcity, yes, they can understand that on a daily basis. And the cost of transportation, on the other hand, I'm paying bills for PHCN and their successors. When we say the budget is delayed, there's competitiveness on the short term, according to Chika Modi, there, immediate pressure. How do it all open up to the man on the street here?
Well, I think, unfortunately for the man on the street, he's been used as, he's always been the excuse for everything we're doing, but the reality is the fact that we don't really care about the man on the street, but we always try to talk about the man on the street. What does the man on the street want? It talks about employment. What is his cost of transportation and how does he get to work? That is the fact that the most important factor into that is the fuel costs. We're subsidizing fuel, so the impact on fuel prices, I think, is not properly reflected in the sense that by the time you remove the subsidies, then we'll know what the true cost to the economy would be. So it's going to be impacted on that, on that area. The next thing that we're concerned about is food, which everybody looks to see. How much is food costing us? Transport is a very important aspect of cost of food, especially in the urban areas. And as we can see with the inflationary pressure on food, the prices are beginning to go up. And we're under some inflationary pressure. And we're looking to see the multiplier effect of the increase in sort of fuel prices, because these subsidies will eventually have to go, and it will impact them on transport, food costs. But luckily, which a lot of people don't understand, the common man at that level, most of the food that he eats, all the import content is near to zero on it, because it's mostly local foodstuffs. And one of the things that we don't tend to say in this economy is that